Critical thinking is also very important. Like, who has skin in the game, who actually knows his shit, who has been through the motion, who has built the companies, talk to these people instead of just people echoing other people. And actually, critical thinking is the number 2 skill, according to the World Economic Forum, to focus on for skills to withstand disruption and rapid automation. Of course, complex problem solving and creativity we also deal with in the online program. So this is quite fascinating to me. So I think technical skills you can just learn. You can learn it online in 3 months, in a few years. You can absorb it, or you can just get it from the cloud, machine learning packages, or whatever. You can just plug that in. But the skills to actually apply it and critically think about the how, I think we need to work on that a little bit more. And this is a famous investigation by the Groene Amsterdammer, which you might know. The economics education is in crisis. They did a small survey amongst banks, think tanks, etc. And they found that what is lacking in this type of education: critical thinking, self-thinking, and not memorizing, truth-talking, self-criticism, and independent thinking. I was like, Jesus Christ, this is all messed up. So that's one of the reasons why I started the Adaptable Mindset, to help people evolve and, well, be better in critical thinking, find their own inspiration, and stuff like that. And if you take it one level deeper into what is critical thinking, it's the objective analysis and evaluation of an issue in order to form a judgment. And I think it starts with curiosity. Like you should be naturally curious of, why does it work in this way? Why does the default exist in this way? Or who gathered the data? Who has a bias? These things are very, very important.
Now, the earliest documentation of critical thinking are the teachings of Socrates, recorded by Plato. Socrates established the fact that one cannot depend upon those in authority to have sound knowledge and insight. He demonstrated that persons may have power and high position and yet be deeply confused and irrational. He established the importance of asking deep questions that probe profoundly into thinking before we accept ideas as worthy of belief. As with Nietzsche, the ones in authority should always be questioned. You will see that throughout the ages we have always been wrong, but are often afraid to admit it for at least a few centuries. So we've all heard the story about David and Goliath, how David was so brave to battle Goliath. But there is also a story going around that maybe Goliath had a tumor somewhere in his body, that he had a disease which caused this abnormal growth. That's why he was so big. Now, this tumor could also be pressing on his brain, which could cause him to not have such a clear vision. David, on the other hand, he had a weapon, his slingshot. And this can be compared, and it is as deadly as a .44 caliber magnum. So imagine that he throws this rock in this other guy's eye. This is murder. This is not the small David fighting the large Goliath. No, it's the large David fighting the abnormally enabled Goliath. And there are many examples on Earth. We've also thought that the Earth was flat for many, many centuries. And it took us a very long while to get rid of these insights. We also thought that everything in the universe evolved around us. And it took us around 200 to 300 years before everyone sort of got the idea that this was false. We also have been thinking for a very, very long while that depression is caused by a missing chemical in the brain. That's why we've been shoving medicine into people's mouths, complementing the missing chemical. And now from new research from Harvard and other faculties say, well, maybe we were wrong. Another thing that we might be wrong about is that diseases and our characteristics are all defined in our DNA. There's becoming more and more research is arising which shows that maybe this is not the case either. So almost everyone is wrong. This example was back in 1998, where the Nobel Prize-winning economist Paul Krugman said, by 25 or so, it will become clear that the internet's impact on the economy has been no greater than the fax machines. So this is a great prediction and also great proof that you should not take for granted what authority is telling you. Paul recently made a new post on Twitter stating that he does not really believe in Bitcoin, on which Will Panda replied, "My internet isn't working, can you fax the article to me?" Now, if almost all of the previous ideas turn out to be false, which of our current thinking might be false? There must be a few, right? What is something that we uphold now, which might not be true? Have you read something on an obscure blog? Did you think of something in the world that, as it is now, and you thought, hey, this is awkward, this is weird? What is it? And what would happen if it turned out to be false? Please look in the description for an assignment.